Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So it has been an absolutely insane week for Bitcoin, with the first half resulting in an 11% drop and a range low retest of our macro descending structure. The weekly candle has just closed and the charts are suggesting it is time for a bullish reversal. However, with CPI data and the federal interest rate decision just a little more than a week away, Bitcoin seems to be on the edge of a cliff. So let's dive into the charts today to talk about that recent weekly candle close, the daily charts, as well as everything you need to watch out for on the shorter time frame. Before we get into all that though, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. So in case you guys missed the recent week of price action, let's go ahead and do some contextual background before we dive into our analysis. So starting off the week on Monday, we actually had quite a bearish beginning. We had a second rejection here from the 50 SMA on the short time frame, resulting in the formation of our short time frame downtrend, and Bitcoin fell about 11.4% all the way down to 52,500. So this resulted in a range low retest of our macro structure here, but luckily, the buyers were able to defend this level of support, and over the last couple of days, we have actually recovered a fair bit, nearly 5%, and Bitcoin is currently sitting just around $55,000. So we can see open interest creeping up a little bit over the last couple of days as well. It is starting to dip back upwards ever since that move downwards near the 6th to the 9th of September, so that's also good to see. Liquidations so far today are up 55%, open interest again 2.2%, and 24-hour volume has started to peak up a little bit at 24%. So let's go ahead and dive into our analysis, first of all, by starting off with our recent weekly candle close. Before we get into any more analysis, guys, let's share a quick word from our sponsor, Bitunix, where you can get 15% off all of your trading fees and up to $5,500 in sign-up rewards by creating your free account using the link down in my description box.
Bitunix is an emerging cryptocurrency exchange committed to providing you with a secure, convenient, and highly functional trading and investment platform. Available across all countries as a non-KYC exchange, get global access to over 150 trading pairs with minimal fees on both spot and futures contracts. Join today to get $5,500 in sign-up rewards and get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up using the link in my bio or by using the code 1GG3 when you create your account. So starting off with the weekly chart, let's talk about the weekly candle close. So it was actually quite bullish, guys, for a couple of reasons. But first and foremost, it was bullish as we were able to respect or continue to respect the macro structure that Bitcoin is traveling in or has been traveling in for the last 5 to 6 month period, right? So even though we dipped below it just slightly for a couple of days there, or I don't even think it was a couple of days, I think it was maybe half a day that we dipped below that level at 55,200, but the recovery and the actual close itself was at 54,900 and was well above the base of our structure here. So while Bitcoin continues to travel in this macro descending structure and continues to respect the upper and lower trend lines, we have context for our price action moving forward. So after this range low retest and bouncing from there, we can expect a degree of bullish continuation or bullish reversal. Now, the next thing that we can see on this weekly candle close, which I'm sure you guys are probably sitting on the edge of your seats for if you watched my last video, is the RSI. So RSI is a momentum indicator, and what we had started to see when Bitcoin was retesting 55,200 or just dropping into those lower levels in general was that the RSI oscillator had started to dip below 44.85, which is this red line here, and was basically telling us that momentum throughout this 5 to 6 month period of consolidation had dropped so much, or bullish momentum had dropped so much, that it was potentially falling below levels we saw all the way back in October 2023. And if you guys remember October 2023, that was essentially the start of the bull market, right? That is when we started to see aggressive bullish rallying that took us all the way up to $73,000. So falling below that level there on the oscillator would have been a very, very big bearish warning sign, because I mean, it wouldn't have been confirmation, but it would have been a warning sign, because it suggests that we are seeing such a massive decrease in buying pressure that momentum is dropping below those prior high time frame levels, right? Which essentially is telling us that Bitcoin would have had a high probability of seeing a bearish continuation, a higher time frame bearish continuation, rather than a breakthrough of our downtrend here from this 5 to 6 month period of consolidation
and potentially break upwards, right? But luckily we have not seen that, so the price was actually able to recover within the last couple of days, and the RSI itself managed to just hold at that 44.85 level after that recent recovery. So that's a great sign, guys. And so we can continue to use the RSI in the same way we have been in the last, couple of months, where while we hold this base over here, we can expect a continuation within our macro structure. And upon breaking out of the downtrend here, we can expect a range high retest and potential breakout of our macro structure. If we pull up the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly chart as well, we can see that the recent close has actually bounced from the leading span A on the top of the Ichimoku cloud. So the leading span A is another momentum indicator, and it is the projection of the prior 26 periods of price action into the next 26 periods. So it's the last 6 months of price action projected forward the next 6 months. And it essentially tells us whether or not the price is either gaining in momentum, so moving away from the cloud and increasing in volatility, or losing volatility and losing momentum, falling back into the cloud and falling below the leading span B, which is the last 52 periods of price action, moving into a bear market. And that is historically what we have seen from Bitcoin over and over again. Generally a break above the leading span B here with a baseline crossover as well marks the start of a bull market. And conversely, falling below the leading span B here with the baseline latently crossing over as well confirms the beginning of a bear market, or a high potential here of a high time frame bearish continuation. But what we have seen from the recent weekly candle close is actually very similar to what we saw in 2021 when we had a prior and a secondary rally. So we first of all rallied all the way up to $60,000. A lot of people called the top here. Understandably, we had a lot of signs that we were going to enter a bear market. We fell below the baseline over here, but upon sustaining above the leading span A here on the Ichimoku cloud and bouncing on the leading span A, eventually Bitcoin moved to recover above baseline once again and created a secondary rally that formed the 2021 all-time high at $69,000. Now, if we apply that to our current situation, obviously I'm not saying that just because we have managed to hold the leading span A, we're going to have an all-time high once again. There's a lot to be said and a lot to be seen before I can confidently even say that. For example, for starters, we need to break above this RSI trendline and we need to break above our macro structure. But what we can say about the most recent candle close on bouncing from the leading span A is that now Bitcoin seems like it is very unlikely to fall into this cloud here, as we were able to hold the leading span A for support and move to retest the leading span B. So that means that we have a less likelihood now of falling below our microstructure, moving to retest $52,000, that horizontal support there, and moving to retest sell side liquidity at $49,000. All of that is less likely than a bounce and a bullish continuation to some degree. So the macro charts are certainly shaping up to look quite bullish and suggestive of a bullish reversal here, but a lot of it does depend on the upcoming economic news that we have. So in just 2 days' time, we have CPI data coming out and inflation, and so the consensus is about 2.6%. If we get the actual result at 10:30 on Wednesday for those of us in Australia at 2.6%, that would be great because the market has priced in 2.6. But if it is unfortunately higher and inflation is not moving as much in that direction that the Federal Reserve is, I guess, waiting for, it does decrease the chances of seeing that 50 basis point rate cut and potentially heightens the chances of seeing that 25 basis point instead, which would be quite bearish because the cost of debt isn't decreasing as much. And if that does happen, Bitcoin has the potential here to see some sort of short time frame correction, right? And a lot of it will be moving into that interest rate decision. So there will be very little, I guess, massive accumulation behavior moving into the decision because investors generally take a quite risk averse approach moving into massive amounts, massive high significance economic news, understandably. So moving into this next week period, if we do get bearish news, there is a potential here for the RSI to dip below that 44.85 level on the RSI oscillator, and a potential here for us to once again retest the leading span A and potentially dip into that cloud. But it really does depend on what the news says, so keep all of that in mind. This next period of price action for Bitcoin is very likely to be quite volatile moving into economic news. So that is the end of my macro analysis. Let's go ahead and dive into the daily chart and talk about the short time frame as well. So moving into a daily time frame, we can see that most recent flash downwards to the range low and the subsequent bounce from that range low has actually showed that Bitcoin and the buyers were able to successfully defend this base of support down here at $54,000, right? The top of that liquidity zone there, marked by the prior range low retest back in August. So that's actually a great sign. So we know that we're holding support here on the daily time frame and moving into this upper liquidity zone over here, ranging from $53.4 thousand to $56,000. So that is the next key level of resistance that we have here on the daily time frame in terms of a bullish continuation. And moving into economic news and moving into this period of volatility, what we might see or what we can expect moving forward is if Bitcoin does end up falling below this level of support over here as marked by this liquidity zone or change of character, we will then potentially see a move if we flash below the structural support to $52,000, the next level of high time frame support here, marked out by this period of consolidation prior to the development of our macro structure or the macro descending channel structure, ranging from 51,000 to 52,000, and at the bottom of that liquidity zone there, that sell side liquidity being 49,000. So these are all levels of support, meaning that even if we do go down to retest $49,000, even though it does not particularly, spell great news for Bitcoin, it is a level of support. So until we lose that level there is still a high potential for a bounce at support. Support is support until it is not. So on the daily time frame, in terms of bearish volatility, those are sort of the key levels to be looking out for. This one being the main level of support here on the daily time frame at the top of that liquidity zone. Moving over onto the shorter time frame charts, we can see that Bitcoin is still traveling in that very same downtrend we developed in that rejection earlier on in the week. However, things are actually shaping up quite well on the shorter time frame charts as well. So while Bitcoin is still traveling within the price action downtrend, the corresponding downtrend we can see on the RSI has actually had a leading break. So we've seen a quite positive shift in momentum and a development of a short time frame uptrend on the hourly chart. So if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that after that range low retest at 52,500, Bitcoin has continued to form a higher low, an uptrend or the start of an uptrend, and two higher highs here. So we're seeing a development of increasing buying pressure and decreasing seller pressure as represented by the RSI as well. And as long as Bitcoin continues to print these higher lows in particular, we are very likely to see a break above our downtrending resistance here, above our horizontal level of resistance, as well as that 4-hour SMA. In terms of a bearish reversal though, the very first sign that we are going to, see in terms of that bearish continuation is a break below our prior higher low. If we fall below this level here, it is likely Bitcoin will then retrace to the next lower low, or the next low, I guess, the range low being $52,000, which upon closing below on a 4-hour time frame suggests that Bitcoin is going to be headed for a bearish continuation and back into this structure, right? Back in to retest that next horizontal base of support down at $52,000. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And if you are a trader, don't forget to get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up down below to Bitunix. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.